We start tonight with the government, who's been told to fix an historic injustice felt by thousands of retired miners here in the East Midlands. MPs say in a report that many are struggling financially and need changes to what it calls an unfair pension agreement, which has shifted several £billion from the miners' pension pot to the Treasury. It is in return, though, for the taxpayer guaranteeing the level of miners' pensions. Our social affairs correspondent Jeremy Ball reports.
Deep, dark and dirty, the coal mines that kept so many communities across the East Midlands in work. An estimated 50,000 families in this region still receive mine workers' pensions. Sid was a miner at Clipston Pit.
20, 30 years ago, yeah, it was the best thing since sliced bread, pension. You didn't have to worry about it or nothing. But they still kept taking the benefits away from us, and we never got anything extra out of it. The way I look at it, with the millions that's in there, they should give us all a lump sum payment and let us decide what we're doing. We can make money on it, we just want what's ours.
It happened because of a deal back in 1994 when the government of the day agreed to guarantee miners' pensions. In return, they'd share any surplus.
Solidarity forever.
They've been campaigning for a better pension deal for years. They're angry the government's made so much profit from the mine workers' pension scheme. Now a cross-party group of MPs says the pensioners should get that money instead. Their report says the government has received £4.4 billion and it's still due to receive another £1.9 billion. But they say many of the beneficiaries are struggling to make ends meet, and they've described that as historic injustice.
We're talking about very significant amounts of money which haven't been going to those former miners and their families. It would make a very big difference if we could have a fairer outcome. So really we're calling on government to engage with this. Don't kick it into the long grass. They need to be really supporting those families now.
One former Nottinghamshire miner is now a Conservative MP.
Now's the time to look at it again and put this injustice right. I mean, we've all benefited from a good pension scheme. Let's remember it is a good pension scheme. But government's done pretty well. Both governments, both parties over the past 25 years. It's time to level up in this area, and more money in the pockets of ex-miners and miners' widows would go a long way to help that.
The coal mining industry is now part of this region's history. But for the families who rely on its pensions, this is a battle that's far from over.
So lots of people calling on the government to do things. What is the government saying?
Well, first of all, and a pretty robust response to this report today. The government says no one complained about at the time of this pension agreement. That was 27 years ago now. They also say, look, miners have done pretty well out of this because these pensions were guaranteed by the taxpayer. That meant they weren't taking the risk. It also meant that they could basically take more chance with investments, and that's why this pension did so well, they say. Added to that, they say miners did get a fair return on this, around a third more than they would have done. So they describe this as win-win, both for the miners and for the taxpayer.
Which would seem to suggest that they're not going to win this battle then.
It might do, but I think there are a couple of things that have changed. First of all, today's House of Commons report is very strong. It makes a really powerful case for them to back down. Added to that, there's going to be pressure from MPs like Lee Anderson, who we heard in that report, who are those newly elected Conservative MPs in red wall constituencies, in the old coalfield areas. And Lee Anderson said they're going to be putting pressure on the government on this too.
So we'll see what happens. OK, for that, Jeremy, thank you.